Obviously, we are known as thinking property. So I have to ask you, what's going on the property side of things? I know that June 2022 was the all-time, I would say, high point of the last decade of housing. Obviously, we've seen
hmm
prices sway down a little bit. I've heard
hmm
anywhere, depending on the area, that they've went down from 3 to 7%. Obviously, we
hmm
live in a unique area here in Florida where that doesn't really
Yeah.
seem to be the case. What's going
Yeah.
on overall? And also, how is demand looking? Because I actually was
Yeah.
watching, believe it or not, I'm going to say it, I was watching Fox Business, and one of the reports
Ooh.
said, yeah, I
hmm
know, I should be watching Thinking Property, but
Thinking
one of the
property.
all the way, but one of the
All the way.
reports
Only.
basically said that there's families out there that they locked in their 3.25 or their I heard one family had a 2.65 interest rate, and so the same house that they could have afforded for $750,000 they now have to buy a less equivalent house of $400,000 as they move across the country. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Well, you're right. So, I am a real estate agent in the state of Florida, so I pay close attention to the data. The truth is, in Florida, prices have kind of stabilized. They've remained the same. I believe that I had like 10% average growth in the state of Florida, specifically for my home. That gets into me the data for my home, but other areas have kind of stabilized and maintained their prices. I wouldn't expect to see a huge jump. Maybe the historical 3% annually would be something realistic to consider if you're in the state of Florida. If you're outside of Florida, I think prices are probably stabilized. I don't think that they're going down as much as has been reported, unless you're in an area where people are moving from because of the lack of demand of jobs or something like that. But overall, as a country, I think the prices have stabilized. However, interest rates will be the biggest deciding factor in what happens in real estate. Because, like you mentioned, we're talking about 7% now, 6.5%, 7%, sometimes 8%, depending on your credit. And I'm going to be honest with you, that is a huge factor for why people don't get in the market. So if you're selling a home, there's a few things that you can expect. You can expect for your home to be on the market longer. The average in my area used to be 27 days. Now, in this particular area, we've approached 73 days on the market. That's still pretty good historically, but it's slowing down because there is less of a demand.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, the people that are applying for the loans and are able to, be able to purchase property have been a little bit more financially well off.
Yeah.
So I, I
Understandable.
expect those prices to stay higher because the people that are in the market are the people that can actually afford the housing.
Full disclosure to the audience, you were my real estate agent, and we went into some of these deals thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get this one. We're going to give them asking price. And I mean, these things, these houses were just flying off the shelf. Just like you said, I mean, it was like
Yeah.
there was a house,
Yeah.
one house that you and I visited. I
We
loved it, had a
visited.
nice screened in pool in the back. It was
hmm
amazing. And
First day on the
you,
market, right? We were there. We were
yep,
the second people there.
we were the second people
We had
there.
lunch. We drafted up our offer. We sent it over, and I was replied to through email that
Sorry,
it's
cash
already
offer
pending.
already accepted. Yep, yep. So
Yeah.
that was
And they were closing
fascinating.
in 7 days without an inspection period. So that shows you how crazy the economy really was at that time. I
Yep.
don't think that's going to be happening anymore.
Me either. I definitely don't think that. By the way, there is a bright
hmm
spot in all this housing stuff, and I did not
Uh-huh.
think about this, but this is actually pretty impressive. So, and again, maybe it's just Warren Buffett being Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett has poured in millions of dollars of investments into home builders and into home builder stock. One of the unique parts
hmm
about this is, believe it or not, there is demand for housing. There's just not demand for traditional mortgages for housing because of the
Yeah.
high interest rates. And so sometimes construction loans they're able to get at a lower number, sometimes not. Right now, it appears that they're at a lower number. And so, what Warren Buffett did is he actually said, hang on a second. There's a demand for housing. Our country is still growing population because of immigration, some of it illegal. Oops. But
Yeah.
that's just the way that it goes. And
Hmm.
on top of that, you have builders who are taking orders from people who, again, just like you said, are well off, who can afford to kind of get into that newer home, that more
Hmm.
luxurious home. So,
Hmm.
believe it or not, there's actually an outlook that says that home builders might continue to grow up to 10%. And really, what the way that it was explained to me, at least, was that they have a monopoly because no existing owners are leaving their homes. So there's not
Hmm.
that many homes on the market
No.
because, hey, why would you or I leave our 3.5% mortgage rate at a $180,000 home whenever
Hmm.
you would get an equivalent or worse home for
Yeah.
$400,000 at 7%? It's not happening. People are staying put unless there's a major life change. And because of that, people who do need a new home in a new area in a major life change, they are going to have to potentially, the only thing they're going to be able to do is build a new home because everyone
Well,
else is staying put. Crazy, right?
and let me add to that really quick, Jonathan. I believe that we will see a new version of the home market. Okay, so a quick brief history lesson. In
Okay.
2008, there was a lot of builders building homes because it was a quick way to get rich and to be able to, flip a home. It was easier to just create the home and flip it for, a pretty premium price.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would build a planned urban development of, let's say, 100 homes in an area. And then not only would they handle the selling of the homes with the inside of the company broker, right? Somebody who is a broker inside of their company to save closing costs, they would actually have their own financial officer who would write loans for, whoever was buying. And we even had some people lending private money to these people to purchase their own homes that they owned.
Yep.
So you would see people go in and buy a $300,000 house, which was really expensive at the time, and not get approved by, like a big wholesaler or Freddie Mac or Fannie
Yeah.
Mae.
Mm-hmm.
We'd see companies, builder companies, give private loans to those individuals so that way they could be able to afford the home. And then guess what happens?
Yep.
It's at a high percentage. It's something that these people can afford when they have a job, when they have a paycheck coming in. But it wasn't a
Yep.
safe investment because of the fact that there was a ton of foreclosures. So, what happened when they foreclosed? It didn't go back to the bank, it went back to the builder. And so now the
Yep.
builder not only made all of the money that they could on the financial end of things, but now they actually have an asset to resell. The only
Yes,
reason
they
why
do.
this broke was because of the fact that in 2008, houses lost over half of their value. And so these
Yep.
builders actually went bankrupt. But because we see a more stable market, we're going to see this trend continue to develop where we're going to have an in-house, broker, an in-house financial officer, an in-house loans or leasing. And that's where this is all going. That's why they have that 10% growth number. And that's why Warren Buffett's investing because either way, even if somebody forecloses on their loan, at least the asset doesn't go to the bank, it goes directly to the builder, and then they can resell it to somebody who's in a better financial situation. Very interesting way to
Absolutely.
make money in the real estate
Absolutely.
market.
I love that you brought that up. No one talks about that, but these builders, they know what they're doing in order to make money. You can only build so many houses, but you can always continue to own them if something goes wrong. On top of
Yep.
that, just like you said, not only can they resell it, but another trend that we've saw recently is that you can rent it if you were a builder. And so I personally believe that as the economy continues to change, as people continue to become happier and happier with owning nothing, that you're going to see a mass influx of renters in this next
Yeah.
generation who've been brainwashed, and where people say, "Oh, well, renting is awesome. You get your AC fixed whenever, and you get this fixed whenever, and the
None
handyman
of
will
the
come in and
struggles of
get your."
ownership.
That's
Yep.
exactly right. Until they
But none of the
realize,
benefits either.
yep, and they will have a problem whenever they realize, "Oh, I've actually just been paying this big corp the whole time, and I've been paying
Yep.
for the experience of owning nothing."
And
Crazy
it's
stuff.
also funny that those people that are the ones that will be paying the rent are also the people that are typically anti big corporation. If you're
Yep.
truly anti big corporation, go get a home and own it yourself. Don't be bossed around to the corporation by the rules of what you can do and can't do inside of your property. And also, don't get bossed around financially because guess what? After you rent for 10 years, you still don't own a freaking thing. And once you move out, that unit's going to be rented within 2 weeks. Whereas if you own a home,
Yep.
you're in charge. You can rent that home. Even if you move, there's nothing that is telling you that you can't continue to own that home and rent it. So, yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree with your sentiment, Jonathan.
And the other fascinating part is that you see corporations who have owned entire neighborhoods. I think BlackRock was one of them.
Yeah.
We looked at a neighborhood before on this show here in Florida where it's completely owned by corporations. So
Yeah.
fascinating stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think that you're correct. I think that we're going to see these builders continue to have a field day with this new economy. And again, why is that? Higher interest rates, less people borrowing to go to that next home, staying in
Yep.
that first home a little bit longer, or even
Yep.
having to accommodate some bunk beds for the kids, right? So interesting stuff. Blake, thank you so much for being here. Again, you're an amazing co host on here, Thinking Property. Guys, don't forget, if you've made it this far, you're a hero. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell, and get notifications for us. Thanks again, Blake, for being here. Appreciate you. And
Thank you,
thank you, everyone,
Jonathan.
for watching Thinking Property.